Okay. And yeah, today I'm talking about children's perception, what future consumeristic. Okay. So I think now really thinking about it throughout the day, we've been talking about what consumers think and probably defaulted a lot to adults and what adults are thinking, even if we haven't explicitly say that. And throughout the day, we've been understanding that there's different consumer segments. We have got males and females, we've got older and younger. We also, big one of the day, East and West. Children are also a consumer segment that's really important. And what I want to do today is kind of highlight the importance that children have. So children are our future consumers. Food preferences formed in childhood continue into adulthood. So if we can develop these sustainable and healthy habits throughout childhood, they will then continue into adulthood, and then kind of a life cycle situation when they have their own children, we can carry on and we develop these positive behaviours. And then something very particular to Singapore is Singapore's 30 by 30. If you think about the adolescents now, in 5 years' time, as we hit 2030, these are individuals, young adults, making their purchasing decisions, and they can contribute to hitting that goal of 30% of nutritional needs net locally by 2030. And then we also have this idea of tester power. So this is where children have a significant influence on their parents. This is through decisions to, I want this food, or I want that food, or try this. So-and-so has tried this, I want to have a go. This is the kind of bi-relational relationship between children and parents, parent and children. And what I'm going to do today is do a very quick whistle-stop tour of children's perceptions through a number of different kind of foods, diets, etc. I'm starting off with sustainable diets. So a recent review found that adolescents' understanding of sustainable diets is lacking. So they kind of quite often replace it with healthy diets, and their understanding of what a sustainable diet means is lacking. However, they show willingness to support local produce. So for them, sustainability is if something is grown nearby, it's local, that's how I can contribute to sustainable practicing in my life. And then something else we can look into is around the naming of foods and dishes. So this was actually taken from a school where canteen staff said, well, if I present a vegetable lasagna as lasagna, the kids will eat it, no questions asked. If I put vegetarian lasagna, they're not interested in that vegetarian word is putting them off. So it's the same lasagna, two different labels, and it's changing the way children perceive this. And this also comes down to sometimes children don't understand that vegetables are vegetarian. So it's that link, making that link between what vegetables are, what vegetarian. And if we kind of remove that and just say, here you go, it's lasagna, they're more than willing to eat it. And then something that can be a bit controversial around labelling. Actually, for the adolescents, they recommended that if we have these clear labels that say this is good for animal welfare or social welfare, that's the kind of things they will look for when they make their food choices. And then moving on to alternative proteins. So quite a lot of the literature around children perceptions is actually from alternative proteins. I just put a few things here for plant-based, cultivated meat and insect proteins. So what they've found is that within Dutch children, they're willing to try plant-based meat as long as it's like traditional forms of meat. Insect protein, they're actually less willing to try insect proteins like cultivated meat. So here, cultivated meat wins over insect proteins. And then also that food neophobia is a significant predictor that are willing to try insect proteins in Danish children. The first study here is Dutch children, second study German children, third study Danish children, and quite often a lot of our findings at the moment are related to Western cultures. This favours a gap within Asian cultures, and that's where myself and Amelia here come in to look at alternative proteins within Singapore. I'm just going to flash through a couple of slides on the studies that we've done. Our first study, which is a focus group discussion, is available as a preprint. You can follow this QR code. It's currently reviewing our code and it will be published soon. So here we conducted a focus group discussion with children and parents. They were conducted separately, so children in one room, parents in the other room. And what we found, just another highlight from our results, is that when you ask children what makes the food safe, a child's response is, well, if most people have eaten it and they're fine, then it's got to be safe. So that concept of what safety means to children is very basic. read it, you're fine. We also used to ask them about willingness to pay. We have one child that said, I prefer to pay more for plant-based because with the next generation, we have to stop destroying the environment. So kind of that means paying a little bit extra. It's worth doing for the long-term impact we have. And then finally, understanding that the initial experience is really important. So if I try this and I like it, that's fine. But if I try it and I don't like it, I'm probably never going to try it again. So that was our focus group study. That was on a very select few individuals that came in to do our study. And then we opened this out to an online survey to get a kind of more generalizable approach. This is still ongoing research. So at the moment, we're about 75 children, parents. And we asked them about, again, alternative protein and gained some qualitative and quantitative results. And one thing we found is when we asked children, do you know what plant-based is? They said, yes, I do. And then when we asked them, well, what do you think it is? These are some of the responses that we get. Okay, so we get it's tasteless, it's yucky, it's artificial, it's made from veggies. And then my personal favourite is, I think it's grass-fed cows. Okay, and the actual whole quote there, I think it's grass-fed cows. I'm not sure what you do to the fish, maybe give them healthy stuff. So this kind of just shows, kind of in terms of children, how they're understanding what plant-based is and their perception of it. But then to accompany this, we also then asked them for their perceptions. So we asked them to rate how healthy, how tasty, and how environmentally friendly plant-based, cultivated meat, insect protein, both whole and powdered, as well as traditional. And asked them just to rate, on a scale of 1 to 5, their perceptions of this. And what we found is, I think this links to Apple's talk earlier around the taste and plant-based meat was rated significantly less tasty than traditional meat. Cultivated meat kind of got a very similar level of agreement across the board, but then when it came to insect proteins, definitely they said it was less healthy, less tasty, and less environmentally friendly. So it kind of just shows the perceptions we have. And for me, it also identifies a gap in kind of education and teaching children about these proteins. Okay, and then just a quick study here that looked at novel enriched foods. This was the comparison of flatbreads with or without oyster mushrooms. This was conducted outside my lab. And what they found was that younger children liked the mushroom flatbread less, whereas older children reported similar liking. So what this is doing here is even within an age group of children, we still have this younger and older and differences in their perceptions as we go forward. And then also in terms of children with low food tech phobia reported significantly greater liking at the mushroom bread compared to those that had higher tech phobia. So this is the idea that depending on a child's perception of what they're thinking, differences in liking can also have an impact. This one here is like differences on ugly food. So again, I've actually put this in, even though it's not a novel food, it's changing our behaviours of sustainability. I also just love these quotes here. So I also think that we're kind of in safe hands in terms of children when they pick the ugly foods. I always take the wonky ones. I think they're cute. I tried the yellow carrot. It was fun. It tasted so yummy. And if bananas going up, that means they're better because you can make better banana. So I think in terms of the teaching children about sustainable behaviours, if we can instill these at young ages, we can then use these going forward as well. So what does this mean? I think awareness of children is growing and they want to make these changes. We do need further research into child perceptions, identifying consumer segmentation. This can allow us to create targeted marketing for children. But I think key is to providing children opportunities to try foods. So this is getting companies or restaurants on board to bring opportunities to children's development schools to give them this opportunity to try them. And that the recent call for national paediatric guidelines to help parents child's diet, and that companies should be aware of these guidelines to ensure their products are suitable going forward. Thank you very much. That's everything from me. And if you'd like to come back, details, I'll bring that now.